What's up, everybody? A few years ago, I was just looking to make some extra money on the side. I had a full-time job. I hated it with a passion. It was a cubicle job. Fast forward to today, I run a full-time business that pays my bills and gives me freedom. In this video, I will show you exactly how I built it from the ground up. No business degree, just hustle and strategy. I'll walk you through my first clients, the pricing structure that changed everything, a few of my biggest mistakes, and how you can do it too, even if you're starting from zero, just like I was. So my dad let me use his old half-ton used pickup, and I had just moved to a new city, started this business with a friend because we both had a desire to get out of the rat race. I worked in a cubicle for 2 years and it was awful. It was terrible. The people were nice, the experience was not. Junk removal seemed simple enough. You show up, you clean up, and you get paid. So we posted some free ads in Facebook Marketplace or Facebook groups, and we got our first job for, I remember it was $45. We picked up a reclining chair. And this first customer was actually a really good customer. He just was a pleasant guy. But we've had many bad clients. And one of them who made me doubt the hustle and bustle, made me doubt being self-employed, was one who we went there at like 7 or 8 p.m. and she made us wait for like 30 minutes for her friend to come help us move some items out of her basement. And I remember thinking, this woman is just holding us hostage here. She's not even, and then we went back to do snow removal later for her. It just was never good enough for her. So I just had enough with it. My partner was kind of a sucker because he doesn't know how to say no. We both ended up ending our work for her. We didn't work for her anymore. We didn't do snow removal or anything like that anymore after the bad experiences we had. All right, so where it all started. I was living at home with my parents, working a full-time job, showing up 8 to 4:30 every day, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and working in a cubicle, doing a simple data entry, entry-level job. It was not fun. The people were fine. They were nice. The job was not nice. I had enough of the rat race. That's why I decided to move 2 hours away from my hometown and move in with a friend, and he's the one that actually started the business with me. We started the business, and then 4 months later, we finally decided to start marketing. And when I say marketing, we put out free Facebook ads into Marketplace. Those get flagged every once in a while. When we put into Facebook groups, we got some jobs from them. We got our first job from that, actually. Our first job was a busted up recliner, lazy boy chair from an elderly man's upstairs of a split level. And I remember our minimum we charged was $45. That is the number that we came up with. Don't know how, don't know why. I think maybe another local company in our city had the same minimum, so we just did what he did. He was very cheap, so that was a lesson we learned very quick. Don't mimic what your competitors do always. It's a good starting point. We didn't know what we were doing, but we showed up and we got it done. This next thing is probably, I would argue, it's the most important thing in business, in junk removal, in life. The systems that make things real. Systems in general. That is the most important thing that you can do. Once we got a few jobs under our belt, we started building simple systems. At first, we would show up at 8 p.m. We would go to jobs on Saturday, Sunday. Saturdays are fine. You're gonna need to put in the work on the weekends to get going, to get the ball rolling. But Sundays, the landfill wasn't open, so that became an issue. We could only do so much before we just couldn't dump, and then we had to be done for the day. And we didn't have much free time if we were always on call, on demand, taking these jobs as they came in immediately. At first, you gotta do what you gotta do, but you gotta build systems around it from day one. Track and record everything. I can't stress that enough, because whether you track something for 3 months and you don't look at it, but then you go back a year later and you look at those 3 months and see the progress, that means a lot, and that is how you build systems. So one simple thing is we have a shared calendar where my partner and I, where we have jobs listed and we know the address, we know the name of the person, the time of the job, day of the job, you name it. So calendar, number one, having a shared calendar, a schedule to put things on. Only accept payments that you're comfortable with accepting. For example, if you don't like checks because you've had too many bounce in your life, don't take checks, not a problem. Before you get to the job or when you do the quote, okay, we accept cash, we accept card, we accept Venmo. Right now we do accept everything, all those, and check, but card we do 5% fee on top of our quote because they charge about 3%. So if we're going to take the convenience of using card, we're going to charge 2% extra and make 2% more. We don't get that many card ones anymore. We push Venmo, cash, check. Create a pricing sheet based on truck space, truck or trailer space. If you're starting out with a truck, based on the bed of your pickup. If you have a small utility trailer, base it off of that. If you have a legit dump trailer or legit dump truck, base your volume off of that. Have 8 price points by 8th load. Your eighth load size is your minimum, and you could prorate it by volume. So you charge $100 per load, which too cheap, but we'll just use that for easy examples. So say half load is then $50, but instead of that, make your half load $65 and quote it based on that. So then you get paid more per, let's say for a half load than you would. So if you did 2 half loads, it would be more than the full load. It would make your time more worth it, if that makes sense. That is something that we've learned recently, and that is a really good way to increase revenue versus charging prorated loads. I highly suggest tracking every single dollar with QuickBooks or any other app you're familiar with, or doing simple pen and paper to start with, tracking every revenue and expense that you have on paper and then adding up at the end of the week, and then again at the end of the month, doing so for a little while. But use technology. Don't just write it down, because you're going to lose these things eventually, and you're just going to burn out from having to write everything down. Once all these things were in place, it really started feeling more like a business versus a side hustle. Basically, we weren't able to pay ourselves that much. We would take distributions now and then, but then when it was like 3 months into it, we started paying ourselves more regularly, and it started feeling more like freedom and income. So marketing that actually worked. I briefly mentioned Facebook groups that were free. If you have to do what you have to do to get started because you don't have money, do it. But if you have money to start a budget, perfect a Facebook ad. Learn what works and what doesn't, and you find the ad that works, pile money into that ad in your local area where you want the work to come from. It works. It really does. Recently, my partner and I, we put ads at $50 to $75 a day on Facebook. We basically just run Facebook ads as of right now. We've tried Google. Google does work as well. Ranking on Google is very important as well. But Facebook ads, we did $50 to $75 a day, and we had so much work. We were doing like $2,000 a day in May, and we were grinding, and it was a grind. You can also become a member of Facebook groups. That'll help get your name out there. You can try yard signs, customer referrals. Maybe you give $20 to people who refer you to other clients. We've done discounts before, like 10% discounts. You just have to get creative with deals to get jobs and figure out what you're spending per lead and charge accordingly. So you don't want to spend like $200 per lead if you're only making $100 or $200 per job, because that just doesn't make sense. You're losing money, right? We didn't really need to pay for ads at first because it was essentially a side hustle, right? So we were testing the waters, and we wanted to be as lean and free as possible. Lean and cheap, I should say. So we did free Facebook ads, and it worked. I mean, we got work. It's just not sustainable, and spamming those all day is not a good way to do it if you want to turn it into income. If you want it to be a side hustle, it's good to start, and then you get your name out there, right? If you have a full-time job that you're happy with and you're looking for just a side hustle in junk removal, do free ads, right? And get 4 or 5 jobs a week or whatever. Do 3 or 4 on the weekend. I mean, Facebook groups are a good way to get free jobs. And then it gets your name out there, and you can stop spamming and maybe just rely on word of mouth. So transitioning to full-time income. Let's talk a little bit about that. I quit my full-time job, like I mentioned earlier. It was a steady, secure job, and I just one day said, nope, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not happy. Moved 2 hours away. Lived in an apartment, living room with my business partner. That's right, put my bed up in the living room of the apartment. And then I was just doing DoorDash and Uber Eats while we were trying to get this whole junk removal side hustle thing. So I do not recommend this. This is not safe. I was 21 or 22 when I did this. Didn't really have too much to risk, right? Wasn't in a relationship, didn't have children, didn't have too many responsibilities essentially. So I was like, why not, right? Experience it. I wouldn't recommend it. I did it a little different than most people, but so I quit my job and then from day one just started figuring it out. What I recommend is doing it on the side. Like I said, do free ads, do it on the side, and then if you're interested in it and you see the money potential, which there is money potential in it, then you can quit your full-time job. So I would recommend replacing 80% of your monthly income for 3 months straight. Save 3 months of expenses as a buffer, invest back into the business, trailer upgrades, equipment upgrades, you name it, all while still working your full-time job and investing in marketing as well. The day I walked away from delivering food, doing DoorDash and Uber Eats was just so amazing. Like, props to all the people that do that, but I felt like I had zero purpose in life doing it, and there's nothing wrong with doing this type of work. It just didn't give me purpose, it didn't give me meaning in life, whereas having a business does. And once the work started flowing in more, it gave me confidence. When the cash flow came in, it gave me confidence. But it's important not to let that get up here and use it more, not as an ego or an egoistic or in an egoistic way or an arrogant way, but use it in a smart, disciplined way. Okay, so once we had consistent work, I would say 6 months in, we started scaling a little bit. What I mean by scaling is upgrading equipment when we could, paying ourselves on a regular schedule. We bought the dump trailer, we bought a pickup to haul our debris in. That was the biggest thing, upgrading from a half-ton pickup to a 3/4 ton pickup. Huge in this industry. Especially if you're hauling a dump trailer every day, you need to do it. Your half-ton is not gonna keep up. We started offering demolition, hot tub removals, we added those to the lineup, branch removals, you name it. Just being creative and like figuring out the new ways to do it once you start getting the hang of things. We partnered with some real estate agents in town. That is huge because they are the networking heart of any city, the real estate agents. My business, WeHaul, now does anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 in revenue every single month. And we have been doing so for all of 2025. We had a $38,000 month and a couple $30,000 months now. And we're just growing month after getting more efficient and being more effective in business and in work. What I would do differently today, starting from new, hard truths. First and foremost, you gotta do what you gotta do to get started, and you essentially have to say yes to everything, but as soon as you can, and I mean as absolutely soon as you can, say no. Learn to say no to people. What I mean by that is people are going to try to use you. People are going to try make you feel guilty about your pricing. Those few people, and I stress few because you're providing a service, so people are grateful for it. Those few people are going to drag you down and make you want to quit doing business altogether. Say no, set boundaries. As soon as you have the work coming in, stop scraping the bottom of the barrel, essentially. Don't try to price match everybody in town. Charge for your value. You know what your value is? Charge accordingly. Don't underbid yourself. Set clear job boundaries. So for example, you bid a job, you show up, you finish loading exactly what you bid, and then they say, okay, can you take this? Can you take that? Can you take this? After they've paid and everything, we've had many people do it, and you can just say no or yes, I can take it, absolutely. Here's your additional charge for what it will be to take these items. Focus on branding early. Get matching t-shirts. We have matching t-shirts. That says a lot. You can get magnets on your truck. You can decal your truck and trailer. That's huge. Those things are huge. So branding, absolutely. Get a good logo. Get a catchy logo. The guy who looks like a business gets paid like a business. So what I mean by that, you look professional, you look like you know what you're doing, you're gonna get paid like you know what you're doing. That is huge. If You show up in basketball shorts in a ripped cutoff with a 1985 Chevy pickup, hauling a farm trailer that's been used for 40 years, you're gonna get paid accordingly. And if that's what you're starting out with, I'm not judging. I'm saying just do what you gotta do to do what you wanna do, right? So start out with that equipment, but upgrade as soon as possible. If you wanna escape your 9-to-5 job like I did, or you just wanna build a simple side hustle, I think junk removal is a really powerful tool. If you wanna build a solid cash generating side hustle, junk removal is a powerful way to do it. You can start cheap, scale smart, and build something real. Even if you're just one person with one pickup, you can do it just alone. You really can. The key to that is working smarter and not harder. Remember that. So drop a comment below if you're thinking about starting a business. Let me know what the business is. I'll answer every question. If you want a free pricing sheet or checklist, leave a comment below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because there's more videos to come. Thanks for watching.